Hello and welcome. This video is not about Bitcoin. It kind of is though. I do not have any paid sponsors. I'm just going to go on for what I see and my experiences within each of my companies that I've dealt with in the past. For actually the only time I've ever lost cryptos because they've screwed me over in the sense that I'm not counting my losses, of course, in the sense of their company goes down, they didn't pay me. That was Cryptopia. Every single bet I've made, sports gambling, poker game, where I've said, okay, withdraw me this. Sometimes there's been delays, but I've always received everything that I've asked for. Okay, without further ado, this is not about that of Bitcoin, but if you have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and you happen to be on a website like Cloudbet, which is this one here. I have dealt with them. They have paid my winnings every single time. Sometimes it took a couple days, once. It took an extra couple days for them to pay me. And other than that, always been paid. Withdrawals, I think I've made six, seven, and they've all went through within 24 hours every single time. That's my experience. Again, they're not promoting this in any level. It's just this is the only place, and this is a lie too. This is the only place I know of that would accept Bitcoin. No. This is the only place I have deposited Bitcoin and played with. I have seen some other ones before in the past, like Pinnacle, which accept it. It looks like BetDSI accepts Bitcoin as well. But just a measure where, say for example, oh Raptors 218. This is the first time in my life in either baseball, football, or basketball where I can remember where the home team, obviously because they had a better record, won't count any like all-star game heroics for baseball home field, but even then, but first time I've seen where the home team wins game one and they're underdogs for the win the series up 1 game to 0. Really doesn't make sense. It's all this buzz for years. Oh, Golden State's so good. They're the dynasty. They've won four consecutive. No, excuse me. They've been to four consecutive titles where they have won three of the four. But a little bit of note of that is they've played one different team and one major star in LeBron James every single time. Oh, the Warriors dominated the Portland Trailblazers. They took down the Houston Rockets. Well, the Raptors are probably better teams than Portland and Houston as well. For the start of the series, I thought of something that, like, you know what, Raptors are really, really live, as the reason why comes down to personnel. No Kevin Durant. He was listed as out going into game one and very questionable the rest of the way, it seems. And now he's out for game two and questionable the rest of the way again. As his type of injury takes a long time to rebound. And even though there's 2 games off in between every game, and the series stands out just a little bit, an extra close to a week, an extra 5, 6 days, depending on the length of it, that still may not be enough. And he might come back and he may not be healthy. Either way, as it stands right now, with the players of personnel that each team has. Kawhi Leonard to me is the best player in the series. He's the best basketball player on the planet right now, I think. And he is better than Steph Curry. That's my opinion. Kyle Lowry, I also truly believe is greater and better than Klay Thompson in the game of basketball from all facets of the game, although they are both magnificent players, and all four of them above are. But Kawhi, again, being the best, he's greater than anybody right now. And Lowry, he's been getting a lot of good steals. He's made a lot of good passes. He's controlled the ball as a ball handler pretty good. He's been magnificent in the NBA playoffs, especially since as each series moving forward has gone on. He struggled a little bit against Orlando, but since then against Philadelphia and Milwaukee, he was great. And even though he only scored like 8 points in game one, he was very good in that game as well. Pascal Siakam had a game in game one. But one of the things I was thinking before is, okay, this is two good comparisons. They're they're about the same type of player. I think they play the same position in that of the number four. I think Draymond plays a four as well, the power forward position. And as far as getting points, getting blocks, and making getting assists, that's something they're able both to do. And Siakam had it in game one, but I think as it stands right now, they are about as similar as you can get. If you give somebody an edge, it is a small one. So equally matched players on that one. So now we've taken care of, at least for Toronto, we have the one, the three, and the four, and we have the one, the two, and the four as far as the players are concerned. So we're going to go number five below, which is Gasol and Ibaka. That's the center position. And they take two guys to play. Golden State, Toronto usually plays an eight-man game, although they brought in an extra. They played. They sort of. They usually play eight guys anyway. Where Golden State will be like the regular season, they'll play 10 or 11. So I got three different guys that they have to play center with Bell, Cousins, and Kevin Looney. But I gotta think Gasol and Ibaka are just fantastic players, and how they let Gasol take 3 or 4 seconds to get his footing right behind the 3 point line, get his hand position ready to shoot, and shoot like he is at a practice game, or like he's such an inexperienced player, which he's not. But the fact that he was able to get that time and then he just made it because they gave it to him, and maybe he's sitting there at the right behind the free throw line where the 3 point line is there, and he's like, okay, I got the ball here. I want to get my good shot off. And he took like 2 or 3 seconds to get his hands in positions, but there was nobody near him. But overall, those two players I think are better than their bigs. And then the number fives, as I call it, which are the guys that are just standing there, the worst players of the starters. And for Toronto, that is Danny Green and Fred Van Fleet Sr. And they are really good players. And Danny Green, who has struggled through most of the playoffs, had a very good first game of the NBA Finals. And Van Fleet, he played relatively well in Game 1, and he played fantastic in Games 4, 5, and 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I haven't really watched Golden State in their Western Conference run, but Iguodala and the rest of their bench, they're not as good. But I did see him in Game 1, obviously. Most certainly the inferior team, and Toronto was a superior one. But as I see here, it comes down to value. I thought Toronto had about a 51, 52% chance going into game one, so it's higher now. Within the numbers on here, if you look at the minimum bet, it says 0.0049 or 469, so almost half of 1% of a Bitcoin. 1% of a Bitcoin is going for $85. So we're looking at about like a 40, 38 US dollar minimum bet. Maximum bet is 0.57 Bitcoin on there, which means well, that would be about 5,000 or so. I'm not betting it. I thought about it, and I probably should. It does seem as if whenever I make bets like this, it doesn't really go as well. But I mean, that's sort of not true. I mean, in my last bet I made, at least my last wager size straight bet was a winner. That was the first round of the NHL playoffs when I took the Carolina Hurricanes to take out the Washington Capitals. And leaving funds on this exchange, you do it for a few days. I've been paid every time. So it's 99.xx whatever percent likelihood that nothing bad should happen on that level. I don't know what the odds would be like that if you come out and you do put a half a Bitcoin on. I'm sure everything would be fine if you won. And then if you put zero point 0.5 Bitcoin, they'd go on, they'd pay you like 1.09 back. Because that's what you get on a plus 118, which is what this bet is. Now, if you take a look at a video from ESPN, and I got this saved at 1:15 of this 19-minute video. This video is called Bruce Bowen and NBA Finals Game 2, Golden State Warriors versus Toronto Raptors, with Kevin Durant ruled out of Game 6, or Game 2 rather. Warriors in 6 is what Vegas is predicting the most likely of 7 different outcomes are. 7 outcomes are Warriors in 5, 6, or 7, or the Raptors in 4, 5, 6, or 7. My prediction is ESPN's BPI. I think the Raptors will win in 7, but don't be surprised if they do take it in a quick 5 or 6 because they might be that much of a superior team. But in Game 7 situation, this Raptors crowd, it is just such a magnificent one. I've never ever seen a North American crowd like this, as there are like 20, 30, 40 different towns that are like just all getting together in these regions where like hundreds and hundreds or thousands of people will sit and they'll put a screen and watch the game. Jurassic Park is what they call it outside of Rogers, across the street from Rogers Center, right near Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. And yeah, it's just. But anyway, they got Warriors in six at plus 200, and as I already shown, that the odds are here. You have a buck 72. That works out to like minus 140. They're basically saying that the Raptors got like a 45% chance or something of that nature to win. But 538, they're saying, oh, Raptors are 62%. So ROI, if you have a 62% chance of winning something, you're going to get plus 118 odds on what's your return on investment. Well, at 62, I'm going to win 62 times out of 100. So I'm going to and I'm going to win 1.18 units each time giving up one of my losses. So I'm going to win 73.16 units. I'm going to lose 38 of those times over 100 situations. So I'm going to make 35 out of 100. So I'm going to make 35.16% long term if it's 62%. If it's 50% long term, well, 50 multiply 1.18, subtract the 50 would be 9, as I would gain 9 units every 100 plays. If there was a 50% chance the Raptors win this series, you have a 9% long term ROI, return on investment, on that play. And then Raptors in 7, and that would be the most exciting way to win. As a Raptor fan, the best and easiest way would be Game 5, although Game 4 is a sweep, but it's in Oakland or in Golden State or near Oakland. I think it's the Oracle Arena. I'm pretty sure that's in Oakland. And that would shock the world in the NBA, but not as much for me because, well, the Raptors are that, and maybe I'm more saying this as a hometown fan and everything, but this is a team that has been garbage through most of its legacy. The Toronto Raptors, that is. They came out early. Their first big star was that of Damon Stoudemire, who they drafted. He never really worked out, although he became a good, solid number 4, number 5 player on your team. Nothing magnificent. And then Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. Well, that was pretty good. Big moment in, I think it was 2000, when Vince Carter had a shot to take the team to the conference finals, but the shot didn't go open. And at that time, Del Curry, Steph Curry's father, was actually open for a 3-point shot. But that's like whatever. That was in the year 2000. Del Curry, Steph Curry's father, played his last 3 seasons with the Toronto Raptors. And then for many years after that, it was always the same. Raptors would develop players. They go out. Vince Carter goes to Philadelphia or some other. I think it was in there. And he got a bunch of other teams after that. And then we had guys like Chris Bosh leave, Tracy McGrady leave. And then the other guys started to come in, the new class, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan was first. And these guys weren't leaving. DeMar DeRozan signed a big contract with the team. Kyle Lowry, same thing. They're just staying. And then next thing you know, they trade DeMar DeRozan. But during this whole time of those guys, next thing you know, they're going to playoffs year after year after year. In the last 3 years, they've been dominating the regular season amongst the best teams. They've ran deep every single year, second and third round every single time, and this year third round again. This time they won. And when you try to use the poker tells about how somebody reacts to something, and you try to react to Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard about, yeah, do they really want to win? Do they really have that in them? Do they have that mojo? And it's a strong yes that they do. And I mean, it's so overwhelmingly yes on Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if you want to try to give me any tells like he just wants to get paid, have fun, and showboat and everything, that's so laughable because I mean, it's just so obvious that he just wants to kind of live his own lifestyle, do what he does, and what he does is just go play the game of basketball phenomenally well. That's what I get out of it anyway. And this is just advanced analysis of looking at the mathematics again because all season long they have been and all really not only all season long but for multiple seasons, Vegas odds have continuously been giving the Golden State Warriors a lot of love or extra odds like this. And then the Toronto, quite the opposite. In fact, what I thought was really funny was when I went to a Twitter page from the Golden State, and I've seen one real look genuine confusion by a Golden State fan, like, "What? Game one's not here. We have to go to Toronto. Like, aren't we the kings and the be end all of everything? Isn't everything supposed to be reflected around us?" Kind of thinking amongst the Golden State Warriors. Well, that's the idea. And well, they were home every series. Toronto was on the road in the last one. Yeah, Milwaukee had the best record. Toronto had the second best, and Golden State had the third. That's how it was. Okay, thank you for tuning in. This again was a video regarding mathematics. If you want to take advantage of it, again, it's all bets and trades. Bets, trades. Your risk, your reward. If you put your bet in and you lose, you got to pay the man. That's what gambling's all about. If you lose, you always pay the man or the woman, whatever. But if you say pay the man and it happens to be a woman, then it's almost like Becky Lynch in WWE. When you're that big, you're the man, if you will. If a woman wants to be one, that is. And if you win, well, the man's going to pay you. They're going to pay you. That's how gambling works. There is no screwing you over on that measure. Adjusting the odds to different things, that's another story. But all these bets are based on how public perception is. And most likely, it's set up in Vegas where they're going to be winning no matter who wins. Or they might be cheering for the Raptors to win because they're still getting overwhelmingly large odds. I don't know. But that is it for the video. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.